a day, the same would suffice. But away from that, then one would want to ask, are we becoming an NGO sort of country in the sense that, we are constantly waiting on donor funding and everything? And would it be a mistake, or would we be mistaken to argue that perhaps then this visit would as well come in to consolidate what some of the institutions like IMF and World Bank then are working or are doing in the country?
By all means. The Bretton Woods institution, which is how they are known, the IMF, the World Bank, and all these other, global sort of institutions, have not been known to always act in the strategic best interest of the country that they are offering aid, so-called aid to. Number one, it's usually not aid, but these are loans. And if you study them very well, you'll notice they are loans that are issued at usurious rates, whereby Kenya will be struggling for a long time to pay not just the principal amount that is loaned, but also the interest on that loan. So some people go as far as saying it's a way of neocolonialism. So that's one way to look at it. Now, the second way, which is kind of to your question, is that Kenya, unfortunately, has become too dependent on aid. That is why we have a lot of foreign debt. That is why the shilling has had a very traumatic run, especially since this particular presidency came into effect. That is why the economy has been struggling to a large extent. Kenya went as far as borrowing not just internationally, but also domestically. Now, with this kind of strategic engagement, this would be an opportunity for Kenya to sort of very deftly and very aptly and very strategically maneuver itself out of some of this sort of what I would call predatory lending. So Kenya, because it has the ears of the West in this regard, because they are being given a seat at the table with the greatest honors possible, save for domestic political gymnastics, Kenya has the opportunity. Now that the West has its microscope on it, especially the United States of America, they have the opportunity to negotiate as equals. Equals not so much in political power or military power, but because strategically you can tell the United States is interested in Kenya as a focal point or a focus point for their geopolitics in Africa, for their economic future. You see them lining up major CEOs at the top of the food chain to meet with the Kenyan president. You notice a lot of engagement that are very unique, even the creative industry, the academic industry, all kinds of very, very focused and very deliberate engagements. Kenya has been meeting with other countries and having interactions. I mean, the late president of Iran was here in Kenya.
Was it July?
Just recently, exactly. And then, China as well, Russia as well. So the fact that the United States has a vested interest and seems to be interested, usually that's a negotiating chip and a negotiating strategic advantage that you can use to get the better of any deal, which means it helps when you're negotiating. So hoping that Kenya and its leaders have a strategic mind that is not just thinking, beg, ask, loan, and just going with the sort of poverty mentality or beggar mentality, hoping that they can have a strategic point of view that says, these guys have an interest for a reason. They are focused on us for a reason. They gave a state visit for a reason. They do feel that the national strategic interest of both countries do align. And to a large extent, Kenya is at the forefront from an African Union perspective, from a regional perspective, and most importantly, from initiatives like global climate change and other sort of initiatives. The UN is now moving its headquarters. The UNDP has had its headquarters in Kenya, but it's now said that the entire UN headquarters is being transitioned to Nairobi.